Okay, I think we're finally recording. No, my gain may be a little too loud. Hold on. Okay, I think we're back. Hello guys, my name is SoulArts. Welcome back to another video. I haven't did this in so long. I'm so sorry for the absence of uploads. I've been going through a lot. If you don't know, just go to the description of the video. I have a Discord server there. That is my Discord server where we just chill, hang out, whatever, if I can. But yeah, I also post some diaries there that are free to view, and you can just know about my life. And yeah, but with that being said, let's get directly into the video and talk about why Weiss is one of the best characters, at least in Team RWBY. With that being said, let's just, like I said, hop directly into it. Let's compare Weiss to Team RWBY. Team RWBY doesn't have much, and what I mean by that is Team RWBY just doesn't get much attention. I'm positive we've all seen the jokes, but as complaints say, Team Juniper gets more love than Team RWBY, or just John gets more love than Team RWBY does. But instead of talking about all of Team RWBY, let's focus on Weiss and compare them to Team RWBY. So starting off, we have Weiss compared to RWBY. RWBY's story is about her mom. We can tell this from the songs, the trailer, things of that nature. It's always been about her mom and actually just being a team leader. And RWBY doesn't have much story at all. I mean, we understand her story, we see her story, but we're 9 volumes in and it doesn't feel like we're any closer to anything, really. We still don't know much about her mom. We still don't know even how her mom died. We still don't know much about Silver Eyes, and we know her take on being a leader and her feelings, but it took 9 volumes to get most of that. In comparison to Weiss, Weiss has did so much growing, whether it's been from hating Faunus to loving Faunus again, whether it's been being a bad teammate to being an excellent teammate, whether it be to planning her father, the family name, being a better sister and or caretaker for her family. These things are shown and or given, and Weiss's did all of this not just in 1 volume and 2 volumes, but 9 volumes, and this is multiple things, by the way, I've listed. RWBY's biggest things have been Silver Eyes, her mother, and being a leader, and none of those things feel like they've ever been completed, while I've just listed about 4 or 5 things for Weiss and they've all been done. Let's compare it to Blake. Blake at least had the White Fang. That was her big story, that was her big draw, but after Adam died, the White Fang kind of fell flat, and most people even say that the White Fang storyline kind of just fell flat and was abandoned, and it was executed extremely poorly. So after the White Fang and Adam fall in volume 6, we've essentially had 3 volumes of Blake doing nothing. I mean, what else could Blake do now besides care for her team? And even when it comes to caring for her team, it feels like Blake mainly cares more for Yang than anything. The biggest thing we've seen Blake do is take up the role of leader after RWBY kind of took a standstill and on the back foot for at least volume 9. But besides that, where it was a temporary role and she was mainly just giving side orders, but even then RWBY was still there to at least give at least some orders or some thoughts, so it wasn't even mainly just Blake, and it wasn't like she even said that, she just kind of took up the place. Besides that, Blake doesn't do much. And lastly, let's compare it to Yang. Yang is a character that focuses on her mother, that focuses on being a good sister. These are her 2 very core character traits, and she hasn't interacted with her mother, I think, since volume 5 or 6. That means we have had 3 or 4 volumes with Yang doing absolutely nothing in terms of relating things back to her mother, talking to her mother, understanding her mother. Remember, these are lines and things that Yang has stated herself. She wishes to know about her mother. The one talk she had with her mom, where they both got into an argument and you could say Yang kind of bitched her mom, that's not fully understanding. Sure, you can understand her motives, her intentions. You still don't understand the reason for her abandonment and other things of that nature. There's so much things to unwrap and unravel with Raven. Not even just as Raven, you can understand things about Summer from Raven, things about Crow from Raven. You can understand your family, your lineage, your father more. And these are things that Yang just doesn't do and hasn't fully explored. And it's been like this for 3 or 4 volumes now. The same issue I stated with Blake is the same issue I have with Yang, where Yang only feels like she focuses on Blake now. So much so that people are starting to say Yang is a bad sister, or Yang doesn't feel like a good sister, at least compared to the older volumes, and that's something that is very depressing. It's something I've covered on my channel before. But yeah, in comparison to Team RWBY, it feels like Weiss has did the most growing. She's tackled the most topics, the quickest, the fastest, and she stayed consistent. She hasn't stopped or laid off. RWBY has felt scattered when it comes to her plot points, often coming back to them every couple of volumes just to briefly tackle them, but not tackle them fully and or enough. Blake has had some decent progression with her story, but after volume 5 and 6, she kind of just fizzled out. And the same goes for Yang. Yang had some decent progression with her story where we had teases of Raven. We had things where she wanted to understand Raven, dreams about her. But after volume 5 and 6, she kind of doesn't do this anymore. I think at this point in time, it is very easy to sit here and claim that Weiss is the best character in Team RWBY in terms of written wise, because we've actually gotten her story. It's not to say that you can't like other people. You can like other people, but Weiss has actually had that focus and growth in the story. I'm not sitting here and saying that other characters haven't grown at all, or that these other characters don't have potential. They do, but they haven't had that focus. They haven't had that time to execute and or writing. Yes, you can make a case for someone like Blake, someone who was deeply involved in the White Fang, very silent with her team, but these are big points that didn't feel big when they came to being executed. These are big things that didn't feel like they hit well when people felt like they were executed poorly, and that all ties back into Blake. And if you execute something poorly or handle something poorly, or it's not given as a big moment for her to push through, then at the end of the day it doesn't feel like it's worth mentioning, or it doesn't feel like it's good enough. So Blake doesn't feel like she could be a contender for best written because it's not shown and it's not cared for and it's not executed properly. Same with Yang. You can love these characters, but in my personal opinion, if we're just going strictly off of what's given, Weiss is probably the best written character because she was given more and she has grown more than anybody, at least in Team RWBY. And let's take a moment to talk about Weiss's story. I'm not gonna dig too deep into it and only give you surface level things, but even from a surface level standpoint, her story is really amazing. Even from how she gets to Beacon to be the person she is. She's stubborn, she expects it all, she's a bit of a know-it-all, she's very sarcastic, she's very, I guess, high standardish. And to have such an ego to want to pair with Pyrrha, to then being like, damn, I didn't even get to be with Pyrrha, and actually John got to be with Pyrrha. I'm not even part of their team, because then at the end of the day, Weiss just wanted to be with Pyrrha because of her status, how strong she is. She didn't necessarily care about Pyrrha the person, she just wanted the status, the strength, the whatever, the look of it all. So to not even get the strongest person and to be left with somebody like RWBY, somebody you don't respect, somebody you view as childish and the complete polar opposite of you, to find out they are the leader and you have to be stuck with them for 4 years, to then understanding and realizing, damn, I do have to take this backseat, damn, I do have to sit here and be a better teammate, to go through all of that, to then finding out your teammate is a faunus where you have extreme prejudice towards them and they were part of the White Fang, a group you have extreme prejudice for, to then sit there, take the back seat on that and say, you know what, I'm fine with who you are because you're my teammate and you're different from the things I've seen and the people I've experienced and stuff like that. You've grown even in terms of combat, which it's your choice to argue visually, but she's grown, whether it's be from the basics of trying to summon to trying to do things. She has shown a lot of growth in those areas. Even when it comes to being a little sister, she wishes to sit there, care, protect, being a huntress. She has all of these ideals, and these are things that have been carried out for 9 volumes. This isn't just one thing, and this isn't even to talk about her biggest thing, which is her family name and her ties with her father. We aren't even talking about things like her mother yet, but we've already covered so much, and this is things that have already been handled like 5 volumes in, and she still has much more that she's done, and we're already 9 volumes in. Weiss is truly a character that has done so much growing in RWBY, and it's insane to think about because not other characters even in her team are treated like this, to where they are this consistent with growth. Like I stated beforehand, it isn't the issue that Team RWBY doesn't have growth. They do, but they don't grow as consistent as Weiss is. Weiss is consistent and feel like she has had a goal and stuck to that goal every volume. The only volume I don't think Weiss has stuck to a goal with has probably been like 1 or 2, and volume 9 is the biggest one where she's more comedic relief than anything, but it feels like they're still plotting and planning for something big to happen in volume 10. So at the end of the day, it's fine to have her take a back seat, especially if you're having room for other characters to grow. But compared to most characters in Team RWBY, Weiss has grown the most and showed the most consistent growth and respectful growth. It's why I can care about her as a character compared to others. Now, is she still my favorite in Team RWBY? No. Why is that? Well, as much as I do like her story and her fighting style isn't what it used to be. And if her fighting style was how it used to be and it was animated that way, she would most definitely be in my top tier. But because it's not, I always give that spot to RWBY, because RWBY may not have as much growth as Weiss, but RWBY has a fighting style that at least looks more visually pleasing than Weiss's, at least from what we have nowadays. But Weiss, in my opinion, is a beautiful character and beautifully written, and I hope she continues to be beautifully written. Even if we wish to go into things like her side plots and side points, she's still good. I think the worst thing we have ever gotten with Weiss has probably been her relationship with Neptune, which is understandably so because it was even treated like a joke and a side thing regardless. So it's not something to be taken seriously, and I don't think many people did take it seriously. At the end of the day, it was a joke, and it felt like they wanted to give Weiss something to do, and it also still fit her personality at the time of dating a guy like Neptune, somebody who's cool, who's very just, I guess, him. It felt like a very Weiss thing to do. It felt like she would have a reason to be attracted to him, at least at that point in time. But even her side plots still feel like they are decently good and ingrained with her character, even if they don't do much for her. Like I said, Weiss is a character that feels extremely strong, and she is a character that continues to improve. With that being said, I don't think I have much else to say about Weiss. I mean, I've written a bunch of stuff down on this document to where I was supposed to talk about a lot, but I kind of covered everything by just talking about her story, because that's how good of a character she is. I finished all my talking points pretty easily and pretty fast because she's just that good of a character to where you can do something like that with ease. I mean, even like I said, off the basic surface level, I don't need to get deep within her story for you to understand how good of a character she is. That's something for you to watch and see for yourself by just watching the series, by looking at the series, by observing her deeper, even just her basic dialogue, her music. She is a wonderful character that is executed pretty well, and I can't find many moments where I dislike Weiss for what she does. She takes the back seat when she needs to, and she shines when she needs to, and that's perfectly fine, and that's what you would want from a main character. Somebody who can sit here and take the spotlight when it's her time, and somebody who can take the backseat and let other main characters shine, or even support side characters or let side characters shine. She technically does it all, and she is the staple of, in my opinion, good writing, at least for Team RWBY. She is done it all, and because I talked about all the points I wanted to that I've at least written in my document, I think that's kind of it for the video. I'm sorry that I don't wish to go deep, but I don't also wish to spoil you anything, and it's sad that I can't really use too many clips because Viz Media is hitting my channel very hard in most of my RWBY, videos. So at this point, it's why I'm using BB tag footage so I don't get, claimed or striked or anything of that nature. You don't want to be in trouble with that. But yeah, her story is very beautiful, and I advise anybody who, cares about RWBY or hasn't finished it to continue to watch it and give it a try, at least just for Weiss, or listen to her songs. And if you haven't watched RWBY and you're just clicking this video, then I'd say, yeah, look at the series, watch it, understand it, and care for it. There's some things that I personally didn't like about Weiss, but I'm gonna sit here and I'm never going to discredit her as a character or her growth. She's done a lot of growing and she's done a lot of changing, and I respect that. So yeah, with that being said, I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video, and yeah, I don't think I have much else to say, so peace.